What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Knicks Latest. I am at the airport because I had no power last night, in the dark, no Wi-Fi, couldn't record. So I'm on a flight to Los Angeles for work. Gonna have to do it right before I board the plane, but let's get to it. Reported by Ian Begley that the New York Knicks are not interested in the services of former assistant coach Johnny Bryant. And that breaks my heart because Johnny Bryant is the head coach that I wanted. I've heard him talk many times about how he sees offense, his offensive philosophy, a lot of off-ball movement, a lot of screens off the ball, a lot of movement, which is something I think the Knicks could benefit from in their half-court offense. Something that I was actually looking forward to seeing, or maybe Thibodeau implementing this season with Karl-Anthony Towns, and maybe a different lineup, Mikal Bridges in there, a different roster that he had this year, just didn't really come to fruition. But excited to see whether or not the Knicks would go in a direction with a new head coach who was young and innovative, but that does not look like it's going to happen. Johnny Bryant, reported by Ian Begley, is most likely not to be the head coach for the New York Knicks. It's looking like the Knicks want more experience, according to Ian. They want somebody who's been there before. They want somebody who's been on the sidelines. Now, your options here right now are Mike Brown, Taylor Jenkins, or they're the ones who are available. Mike Malone's name has not come into play right now. The Knicks knocked on the door of the Bulls, of the Rockets, of the Mavericks for Jason Kidd, got denied. So trying to steal another man's girl ain't gonna work. I think they had their eyes on Jason Kidd because of his relationship with Giannis, and maybe that being a factor, but I think they kind of went away from that after Dallas adamantly said, no, we're not doing that. Billy Donovan, same thing with the Bulls. Ime Udoka got an extension. They said, you're not going to take him away from us. We're actually going to extend him right now, which I think is pretty hilarious. If experience is the lane here, really there are only two options. And that's Taylor Jenkins and that's Mike Brown. Right? You're not going to have a young up-and-coming coach. You're not going to have a young, exciting assistant coach that's going to be brought into the fold. And I kind of get it on some level, right? You are a team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. You want somebody who's, I wouldn't say been there before, but has experience in the league, can get the locker room right away, doesn't really have to prove themselves, has a name, has a brand already to themselves. You know what you're getting when you hire an experienced coach. When you hire a younger coach, you have no idea what you're getting. As much as I think Johnny Bryant would be great, I don't know how he would be in game. I don't know what his rotations would look like. I don't know what his schemes would be, once he gets punched in the face and has to change up his game plan. You know what you're getting with Mike Brown, who was a former coach of the year. You kind of know what you're getting from Taylor Jenkins when he was coaching the Grizzlies, even though they really weren't healthy, for most of his run the past few years. You kind of know what you're getting with these coaches. So I understand that. I get it. I don't know if I'm really happy about it. Like I said, I wanted more of an innovative mind on the offensive end, particularly if you're going to keep Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns. You're basically saying we're going to concede a lot of things on the defensive end, which means you better be good on the offensive end. And if you're good on the offensive end, if you're going to be better on the offensive end, you need more imagination on the offensive end. Right now, I feel like the Knicks just don't have that. And so for me, I was looking for more of an offensive coach. And Mike Brown and Taylor Jenkins don't really seem to be either or. A lot of people like to point to Taylor Jenkins, and the Grizzlies they were first in the offensive rating for a long time this year, but a lot of that was just ISO basketball. It wasn't a lot of imagination. It was very similar to the way Tom Thibodeau ran his offense with Jalen Brunson. So for me, I understand the experience argument. It's whatever at this point. Just kind of want to get going. I think I'm going to feel indifferent about whoever the Knicks pick up as their head coach. Speaking of Mike Brown, he was interviewed. According to the New York Post, he was interviewed. Did not really say in the article whether or not it went well, but I assume it went well. Mike Brown, like you said, he's been around forever. You know what you're getting from Mike Brown. So I don't think there are any surprises. If there were any surprises, I think have been reported on. And I don't think that was the case. We know what Mike Brown did. He probably gave a good interview. You know what you're getting. I don't think there were any surprises pulled or anything like that. It just is what it is. And Taylor Jenkins is next. And it looks like right now it's going to be between both of them because there really isn't another name out there. Jay Wright took his name out. There really doesn't seem to be many coaching candidates out there. They're not looking at Mike Malone. His name has not been brought up into the fold at all. So it looks like it's coming down to Mike Brown and Taylor Jenkins, and both of those options are just kind of ugh to me. Not mad at it, but whatever. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. Please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to build a community here of Knicks fans. It's going to be a crazy offseason. A really crazy offseason, and I want your opinions. whether I'm at the airport or back home in front of the microphone. Definitely want your opinion. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you like the video, drop a comment, let me know who you want for the head coaching position of the New York Knicks. And if there's somebody out there that I'm not talking about, that nobody's talking about, that you think the Knicks should give a look at. For me, it's Terry Stotts. Ran a great offense in Portland. Hasn't been around in a long time. Assistant coach. Very similar to Kenny Atkinson. That's my dark horse. That's the guy I think the Knicks should kind of like out of nowhere try to get. But that's just me. All right, make sure you subscribe. See you next time for another episode of Knicks Latest. Peace.